Hi, I'm Fred Long from Long Brightville. First, I want to thank you for putting your trust in our firm. One big piece of servicing our clients is knowing when to make a referral to another attorney when our firm doesn't have the current bandwidth to service that client. So I want to take a moment to introduce you to Jeff Belomo and his team at Belomo Associates. I first met Jeff when I was in a master's program, and he was actually one of my professors teaching Medicaid planning as an adjunct professor at Temple University of Law. Since then, I've had the privilege of working with Jeff professionally. I've also had family members who've worked with Jeff, and I have complete confidence and trust in him and his entire team to handle pretty much anything that you could throw at them, especially when it comes to Medicaid planning. This is something that they do day in, day out, all day, every day, and I know they do it very well. So you're in great hands, and I just want to take a moment to introduce you to Jeff. So Jeff, take it away.
Thanks, Fred. Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. I'm Jeff Belomo with Belomo and Associates. I'll tell you, Fred's an incredible attorney. It's been a pleasure getting to know him and working with him in the class that I taught, and I've just always been so impressed with him. And so you're certainly working with the best, and we're really honored that Fred has teamed up with us to allow us to do an area that we absolutely love. We are very good at it, and we certainly have great systems and processes and abilities within our firm. So, Belomo and Associates services all of Pennsylvania in the Medicaid arena, and we provide the ability for people to have peace of mind. Our goal is that we're able to take this burden on you, tell you what can be done, tell you exactly how it can be done and the cost associated with doing so, and then holding your hand through the entire process so that you and your family are taken care of and that we're able to protect the assets and get the applications filed in a timely manner and also in the ways that the laws allow for. So I got started in estate planning and elder law because of a situation with my mom. And at the end of the day, for me, it is all about educating. At Belomo and Associates, we educate. So what happened to my family doesn't happen to yours. So to that end, at the end of this video, there will be a video of Belomo and Associates talking all about Medicaid. So I won't get into the details here of my story because you're going to hear it in the video, but we want to educate so that what happened to my family doesn't happen to yours. You will be educated in the video. You will understand the Medicaid process, how the laws in Pennsylvania work, how we can protect assets, and how we can get the application filed for you and your family. Then what we will do is we will schedule a consultation with our team so that we can talk to you. We can talk a little bit about your specific situation, provide the price up front to you. So there will be no cost and no obligation for you to know what can happen and also the cost to do so. And in the meantime, you'll get educated. And if you don't end up needing our services currently, we certainly understand that. But either way, you will get educated and you'll understand what will occur in this process. So we have a great situation created between the two law firms to be able to service you. It will be very seamless. And certainly, we look forward to meeting you. We look forward to helping your family in any way that we possibly can. And Fred, thank you. Thank you for your trust in us. And as we've worked together in the past, you know we will do our absolute best for your clients. I know how much they mean to you. So thank you all very much for your time. Enjoy the video, and we look forward to talking to you and seeing if we can help you and your family. Have a wonderful day. Hi, I'm Jeff Belomo with Belomo and Associates. Welcome to the nuts and bolts of Medicaid. I hope that you're here today to learn ahead, to plan so that what happened to my family doesn't happen to yours. If, however, you are in a situation where a loved one is needing skilled care in the home or in a nursing facility, this workshop is for you. We'll be able to answer your questions. We'll be able to give you the next steps. Welcome to the nuts and bolts of Medicaid crisis planning in Pennsylvania. I have been very fortunate for a lot of years to be able to run an incredible law firm. But one thing is absolutely true: you are only as good as the team around you. So at Bellomo and Associates, I am blessed to have the absolute best team surrounding me, and I am extremely lucky. I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how amazing you think you are nothing without an amazing team. And at Bellomo and Associates, we have the absolute best, and they make me look good. I get to do this fun presenting and being with you, and they do all of the difficult stuff. So thank you to my amazing team. Now at Bellomo and Associates, I want to talk a little bit about who we are as a law firm and what makes us unique. Well, first of all, we educate. We are a boutique and family feel experience. We put our clients' needs first. I am a certified elder law attorney, so that makes us very different than most law firms in the country. What is our goal? At Bellomo and Associates, our goal is to help 15,000 families protect $2 billion in assets. And our promise: we will absolutely make sure that you are 100% satisfied. And if not, we will absolutely make it right. Now, at Bellomo and Associates, we educate so that what happened to my family doesn't happen to yours. I was one of the unfortunate ones. I got that dreaded phone call 2 weeks before the bar exam. Well, at least there wasn't anything stressful going on in my life at that time, right? So anyway, I get this call and I rush out to Pittsburgh, only to find out that my mom has advanced stages of cancer. So we start asking a lot of questions. And ultimately the surgeon said, look, you are going to need to look into in-home care, hospice, nursing facilities, and make sure that you understand your options. So we had questions, right? How are we going to pay for it? How are we going to get mom the care that she needs? Is dad going to lose the house? What's going to happen? Can we do something now? Should we have done something sooner? To which, of course, the surgeon replied, I don't know. I do surgery. So I went to several law firms to see if I could get the answers to those questions. I'll never forget, at the end of the hour, after paying $300 for a consultation fee, I looked at the attorney and I said, what are the answers? And his reply was, you have to pay me for that. I said, I did. I paid you $300. No, you paid to meet with me. If you want the solution that your family needs, that is a $15,000 plan. And if you step foot out of this office today, you forfeit your $300. Or if you choose to hire us, we will roll that $300 into your $15,000 plan. And I said, wait a minute. You want us to hire you without knowing anything about the plan, not knowing what the solution is, what the likelihood of success is. You are looking for me to hire you without knowing anything. Well, yeah. All I have is my time and knowledge. If I give you the answers, you don't need me. Well, to make a long story short, I disagreed. That is not true. And guess what I did? I stepped foot right out of that office as fast as I could, and I forfeited my $300. And I went to another law firm. And what do you think happened? Yeah, I was out $600. So I get to the hospital a few days later. My mom comes down off the morphine. And the first questions out of her mouth are, Jeff, what are the answers? How are we going to get me the care I need? How are we going to pay for it? Is dad going to lose the house? Should we have done something sooner? Can we do something now? To which, of course, I replied, I don't know. She said, what do you mean you don't know? You went to 2 law firms, you spent $600. What do you mean you don't know? I said, Mom, I don't know. Here's what happened. Jeffrey, promise me that you won't let this happen when you become a lawyer. Mom, I promise, it won't happen. Okay, good, said a young, naive attorney. I have been very, very lucky. I have been very blessed. I did pass the bar exam, so that put an ESQ after my name. I was able to become a certified elder law attorney, which put a CELA after my name. I did get a master's in taxation, a certificate in estate planning, which puts an LLM after my name. You know the only initials that I really needed after my name? Yeah, a JOB, because I was broke. You know you can't pay bills with initials? No sir, can't do it. Well, you know what I needed? A JOB, a job, and I got one. Now, when you get a job, your job is to make money for the partners, to make money for the law firm. Okay, so now fast forward for me. Now we're in 2009, several years later. I am leaving a client meeting. I reached my hand out. I said, well, ma'am, that'll be $300. To which I burst into tears. So why do you think I burst into tears that day? Because I became one of them. And I promised in that moment, that was it. I quit my job and I opened up my own law firm, which is what I stand before you here today, Belomo and Associates. I always had a dream to educate for free, to be able to teach people so that when it happens, you know the answers. You're not making decisions. You're not learning in the moment of crisis. You are learning ahead of time. So my hope is that I'm teaching you today before it is needed and ahead of time. If not, we are still here with you to hold your hand. So when we are talking about planning, this slide has always resonated with me. This slide tells us a little bit about the difference between pre-planning and crisis planning. So the way that I always describe planning to people is as if it's a V. The left side of the V is pre-planning, and the right side of the V is crisis planning. And as you can see from this slide, we see that pre-planning is relaxed, planning ahead of time. We are hoping that we have at least 5 years before a loved one is going to need skilled care, which we will talk a little bit more about in a few slides. Crisis planning in Pennsylvania is doable, it's very viable, and it does work. But yes, it is a little stressful. So I do like to just say that up front. And since you are watching the nuts and bolts of Medicaid, assuming you are here because a loved one is in crisis and will need care soon, we know that we can certainly help, and we will do our best to make it as easy and as seamless as possible. When we are talking about skilled nursing facility care in the state of Pennsylvania, we are looking at costs between $13,000 and $16,000 a month. The state average is right around $14,676 a month for skilled care. So what are we trying to maximize? Well, we want to maximize our ability to stay home, to stay in an assisted living or personal care facility, and ultimately, if we have to, then a skilled care facility as well. Well, how are we going to pay for this, right? Our health failing is something that may happen, and if it does, we need to know our options. So how are we going to pay for it? Well, you can pay out of pocket. Now, I don't know about you, but trying to come up with $13,000, $15,000 a month isn't going to be easy for me. Long-term care insurance, certainly a great option. As long as we already have it in place and we purchased it years ago when we were healthy, very, very viable. If you are here today in a crisis context and don't already have it, it's probably too late. If you can get it, it's going to be prohibitively expensive, and in some cases, you won't even be able to get it. So if you are here with a plan of a long-term care plan in place, let us know that. When you do the free consultation, let us know you have it. Let us know what it provides for. But that doesn't mean that we still can't help, because most long-term care policies are not going to cover the entire bill. It's only going to cover a portion. So that will just allow us to protect or preserve more of your wealth if there is a plan. So don't think that it means that you don't need assistance. It just means that we can actually probably help you more. And then the final option is the government paying. Those are the three options that we have available to us. So what are government benefits? So in Pennsylvania, assisted living The only benefit that really pays out is VA aid and attendance. So if you are a veteran who served 90 days, 1 day of which was active wartime, and your expenses are exceeding your income, please contact the VA and talk to them about whether or not you qualify for the aid and attendance benefit. There are asset limits that you have to be under, and there are pre-planning opportunities. However, the pre-planning opportunities mean that you have to do it at least 3 years ahead of time, and we have to use a trust that you have to give up control, you have to pay higher trust tax rates. Not always a great idea, certainly something that we can discuss individually with you. For the most part, care in an assisted living facility or a personal care home is going to be pay as you go and pay out of pocket, particularly in Pennsylvania, because our state does not offer Medicaid benefits at this time to assisted living or personal care homes, unlike other states. Now, if we're looking for care in a home, the VA benefits are also still there, and there are Medicaid benefits. That could mean the waiver program. The waiver program in Pennsylvania does pay for care in your home, does bring in care, and it is a great program that Pennsylvania has, and you certainly may be able to take advantage of the waiver program. And finally, if we are in a skilled nursing facility, Medicaid does pay to that as well. So Medicaid can pay in your home under the waiver program or in a skilled facility under the Medicaid program as well. When we are using the terms crisis planning, that means that somebody needs skilled care, either in the home under the waiver program or in the skilled facility. Medicaid is a three-pronged test. You have to be medically qualified, you have to be financially qualified, and you must have 5 years of complete and accurate records. So please pay attention to this slide. The 5 years of complete and accurate records is definitely something that you can start planning ahead of time. It doesn't have to be in crisis. You don't have to wait to the last minute. You can plan ahead. You can set up folders. You can put your statements in every month as you receive them. But if you haven't done that ahead of time and a loved one needs it, you are going to need 5 years of complete and accurate records. Financially qualified. That's what we're talking about today. That is what we're going to teach you that we are able to do in crisis. We are able to still protect assets in Pennsylvania in a crisis situation. The one thing that we cannot help with, however, is medical qualification. So of the three-pronged test, you're going to be responsible for the 5 years of complete and accurate records. We will be able to assist you on getting financially qualified, and medical qualification is based on other factors that we will talk about. It is all based on activities of daily living. So activities of daily living are things such as personal hygiene, bathing, grooming and oral care, dressing, the ability to make appropriate clothing decisions and physically dress oneself, eating, the ability to feed oneself, though not necessarily to prepare the food, toileting, both the mental and physical ability to use a restroom, transferring, moving oneself from seated to standing and getting in and out of bed, and finally, walking. Those are activities of daily living. The way that I always say it when I'm not looking or thinking about it is eating, bathing, dressing, toileting, transferring, walking. That's how I memorized it years ago, and if you notice, I was moving my fingers as I went around doing it. Those are the activities of daily living. It is not a hard and fast rule. So as I show you this slide, I don't want you thinking it's a hard and fast rule. It is not. Generally speaking, how activities of daily living relate to the level of care that we need. Independent living, you usually don't need help with anything. You're living completely independently. When we look at personal care, generally speaking, you might need help with 1 or 2, and skilled care, generally 3 or more. Now, like I said, that is not a hard and fast rule. That is not 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. No, it is how severe or profound are 1 or 2 of them, right? So just use this as a guideline. Don't use it as a hard and fast rule. I just think it helps to see it a little bit So when we're dealing with severe needing 3 or more potentially, that's where we're looking at skilled facilities in a nursing home. That's when we're looking at the waiver program for skilled care in the home. Now, who determines if we need medical qualification or if we meet the medical qualification or if we're medically needy? Well, if we're dealing with skilled facilities, we're typically dealing with the doctor who works with that facility. And if we are dealing with the waiver program, that is going to be an agency. That is going to be the Area Agency on Aging. They will be making that determination, and we will certainly discuss that in your free consultation, specifically about how that works and what the forms are that will determine whether or not an individual is medically qualified. All right, so when we're talking about qualification for Medicaid, it's all based on income, okay? So currently in 2026, the income amount that we are looking at is $2,982.01. So if the person's income per month is less than $2,982, then they can have $8,000 in assets. But Jeff, what if it's more than $2,982.01? Then they're only allowed to have $2,400 in assets. That is a hard and fast rule. It is not negotiable. It is not arguable. You either have those assets or you do not, and it is all based on your income. So what assets count? Yeah, essentially everything, right? The individual who is qualifying for Medicaid, the name that we use is the institutionalized spouse. Now, that does not mean that the person has to actually be in an institution, right, or a facility. The IS is essentially just the person who is qualifying. So the person who is qualifying for Medicaid cannot have assets that are greater than those amounts, all based on the income. What if we're married? Well, the rules for a married couple vary, but not for the individual who's qualifying. Again, the IS is the person who is qualifying for Medicaid. They still have to be under the threshold amounts depending on their income and whether they are greater or less than the $2,982 a month. But what about the community spouse? Well, the community spouse actually is allowed a different amount of money. We know the IS has to be under those thresholds, but the community spouse is allowed to keep the house, a car, the community spouse retirement account. Whose retirement account? The community spouse. Whose retirement account did I not say? The IS, the spouse who needs care. Their retirement account does count towards the $2,400 or the $8,000 limits. But the community spouse's retirement account is exempt. What is a retirement account? Anything that qualifies as a qualified account, 401ks, 403bs, IRAs. Please, in your free consultation with our office, tell us what retirement accounts you have as the community spouse. We will not be touching those assets because they are exempt assets. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to look at what about the assets that are above the house, the car, the community spouse retirement account. We put everything else in a pot. What goes in the pot? Everything. Joint assets. Assets he owns, assets she owns, assets subject to a prenup, right? The state of Pennsylvania was not a party to your prenup. So what that means is everything else goes in a pot. Now, the community spouse is allowed to keep half of that pot. How much of the pot? Half. Half of the pot, but no more than $162,660. No less than $32,532. Jeff, give me an example. Okay, what if the pot is $50,000? How much can the community spouse keep? Say it loud. Okay, you want to say half, don't you? You want to say 25. But what was the minimum amount? The minimum amount was $32,532. So that's what the community spouse would be allowed to keep. Even though that number is greater than 25, that's because the minimum amount is $32,000. Okay, what if the pot is $500,000? Well, what is half of 500? 250. But is 250 greater than 162, 660? It sure is. So what can the community spouse keep? 162, 660. So do you see how it matters what the half is? Now, when I ask people, what can the community spouse keep? Everybody always says half, but that isn't true, is it? It's half, but no more than the 162. It's half, but no less than the 32. So those numbers are extremely, extremely, extremely important. And this determination is made on the resource assessment, which is determined when an individual goes into a skilled facility. So it's very important that we understand that. When it comes to income amounts, similar rules apply, where the community spouse we want to make sure has at least a minimum amount of income. And if they don't, they will be allowed to keep a portion of the IS's income to get them to minimum monthly allowances. When you do your free consultation with our team, we will look at your specific case and look at your incomes and be able to tell you what, as a community spouse, you will be able to keep. And we will be able to discuss your specific situation and tell you costs up front. Now, 3 lands. This story is something that I like to tell when I teach workshops. There's something called tax land, long-term care land, and estate planning land. Now, I want you to imagine that I am literally running around the room right now. So in that far corner of the room is tax land. In the middle of the room is long-term care land. And in the far right-hand corner of the room is estate planning land. Now, in estate planning, we always say, I want to control my property while I'm alive and well. Keyword, control, right? Anybody want to give up control? My last name's Belomo. B as in boy, E-L-L-O, no? Okay, all right, fair enough. In estate planning, we want to control our property. Everybody agree? Is there anybody who wants to disagree that control is not important? All right, I don't hear anything. Okay, very good. Let's go over to tax land. What do we all know is true about tax land? What do we think we hear? We're allowed to give $19,000 a year away as an annual exclusion gift. We're allowed to give $15 million away as of January 1st of 2026 during our life or at our death, right? Those are the numbers we hear. And in tax land, which is the far left corner of the room, that is true. Now, come with me to long-term care land. We're in a skilled facility. We need skilled care at home. We want to qualify for Medicaid. They are looking back 5 years. A 5-year look back period means there's a box on the table. In that box goes every statement. Remember, we have to get complete and accurate records for the past 5 years. That is everything that has happened in our checking and our savings and our money markets and every account that we own. And what are we looking for? Say it all together now. Gifts. Preach it louder. Gifts. Yeah. But Jeff, that overweight curly-haired attorney, you know, Jeff, he said that we could give away 19,000 plus 19,000 plus 15 million during life or 15 million at death. Didn't he say it? He sure did. Well, I'm confused. We're not in tax land anymore, Toto. We're in long-term care land. And we're looking back to see what gifts you gave. So in long-term care land, if we are qualifying for Medicaid and they are looking back, they are looking to make sure that in a given month, you did not give away $500 or more as a gift. So Jeff, what's a gift? Well, the easiest way to describe a gift is when you give somebody something and do not receive the same value in return. So Jeff, give me an example. All right. Is it a gift if I paint your house for $10,000? What do you think? Well, you're probably going to say no, right? Because I'm painting your house and you're giving me $10,000. But the answer is, I don't know. What's the fair market value to paint your house? If the fair market value to paint your house is $10,000, that's not a gift. If the fair market value to paint your house is $5,000, we have a $5,000 gift and a $5,000 for value transfer that will not be penalized. So they're going to look back to every statement, every checking, every transaction to make sure that in a given month, you did not give away as a gift $500 or more. So as long as it was under that in a month, you will be fine. As the law firm that will be representing you, we will talk to you about this in your free consultation. We will be guiding you. We will be telling you what it means. We will be telling you ways around it. Nothing is completely without a potential solution. We always can come up with plan Bs and plan Cs. We just need to be able to meet with you and understand the facts to be able to assist you with it. So the reason that we teach 3 lands is because you're going into this situation believing and thinking that you know certain rules, and they may or may not be true, right? So in this case, just because you learned that in tax land you can give that $19,000 gift away, and you may have even been told to do it by your lawyer, by your accountant, by your advisor, and that's because what land do most lawyers live in? Oh, don't say la la land. No, tax land, right? We're not in tax land. We are in long-term care land. So we will be guiding you. We will be holding your hand through this process. It's not all loss, so don't freak out. If your loved one did give gifts away, just let us know about it up front. We can run calculations and tell you what we can do. But if we don't know about it, we can't help you. So when we meet, make sure that you disclose that to us. And that is why we have to understand the lands independent of each other, because the rules, now that we are in long-term care land, potentially differ. If you're watching this in a pre-planning context, just understand that as you move forward, you want to be very careful what you're gifting in a month, regardless of what it says about the tax amounts, the annual exclusion amounts, and the lifetime gifting amounts. What are some of the most common myths that we hear when it comes to Medicaid? They're going to take your house. Guys, they're not going to take your house. The government has no interest in taking your house. They're not in the business of real estate. They're not in the business of property management. They are in the business of providing care and getting assistance for people who can't afford it. Yes, if you have assets in your name alone at the time of your death, they will have a right to estate recovery. Estate recovery is the right for the state to get paid back up to the amount of care that was provided during your lifetime. So if a loved one is planning on exempting a house with the intent to return home, yes, they will be able to qualify. But what happens when they pass with that house in their name alone? It will be liened up to the amount of care that is provided. That is not what we will be doing. If we are providing a consultation to you and telling you what we can do, we will not be just postponing them liening your house. So that is a complete myth. They're not going to take your home. And if done properly, we're not even going to exempt the house with the intent, having them be able to lien it. We're going to do it in a way that the result we give you is free and clear of the state. Jeff, you have to give all your assets away. Oh, guys, I can't tell you how many times I hear this. Remember what we just told you. In tax land, you can give it all away. But if you give it all away in tax land, how well do you control it in estate planning land? You don't. And if you go into long-term care land and they look back 5 years, Houston, we have a problem. So we have to be very careful. You don't have to give your assets away. Should you give your assets away? No, you shouldn't. You should seek professional help from somebody who does this on a regular basis, who will guide you through the process. It is a free consultation. You will know the cost up front. You will know the likelihood of success. You will know the percentage of success. You will know everything you need to know. But no, you do not have to give your assets away. That is not true. That is a myth. And if you do give assets away, you have to wait 60 months. Guys, 60 months only deals with the look back period. The look back period is nothing more than what goes in that box of statements. The statements that go in the box when we're looking back 5 years is just every bank account, every checking, savings, money market. We're looking for what gifts you gave away, right? But just because you gave gifts away, that has nothing to do with 60 months. If you gave gifts away, there's a penalty period associated with it. So based on the amount of money that you gave away, they're going to penalize you for a certain amount of time that you won't qualify for Medicaid. But that doesn't mean that if you gave gifts away, you have to wait 60 months. That is absolutely false. Another Medicaid myth. All right, Jeff, currently in Pennsylvania, what results are you able to give or get under the rules in crisis? So remember, we're on the right side of the V, and we're talking about crisis planning, not somebody who did a trust more than 5 years ago in pre-planning, somebody who is now trying to qualify. We're doing crisis planning on their behalf. Currently in Pennsylvania, we can protect 100% for spouses. Jeff, did you really just say 100%? I did. I absolutely did. And if there's a single individual, widow or widower, it's a 50% at worst result. So we'll be able to protect at least 50% for a single individual, widow or widower, and 100% for a spouse. Jeff, how do I know if I qualify? Every case is different. Now those results are Pennsylvania. We are allowed to do them. There are very minor exceptions. That's why every case is different. So what we'd like to do is to provide a free consultation. It won't cost you a single penny. You meet with a team member in our office. We'll ask you some questions. We'll have you fill out some background information. We will tell you in the room exactly what percentage we can protect, what the cost will be. You will be fully educated between today and when you meet with our team member to be able to provide that assistance. And you will know everything you need to know to be able to make an informed decision on whether you would like to work with our firm. So far, I've been practicing almost 25 years. I have 100% success rate of getting people qualified and protecting the absolute most amount of money that is allowed in the state of Pennsylvania. I'm very proud of this. And we do a lot of applications, hundreds and hundreds of them. We do this all the time. We do it every day. And we absolutely would love to be able to discuss the specific situation to you and your family, to be able to tell you what can happen. Jeff, can I just work with any attorney? I have this real estate attorney that I really like. They did a closing for me 15 years ago. They worked with my mom and dad 30 years ago. Look, estate planning, elder law, real estate law, landlord-tenant law, criminal law, family law, they're all very different, right? There are specialists when we're dealing with different things, right? There are podiatrists, there are oncologists, there are allergists, there are dentists. They all do very different things. It is the same when it comes to estate planning and elder law. Elder law is a completely different area of practice. I cannot tell you how many times people have gone to estate planning attorneys or general practice attorneys and been told that nothing can be done, have been told that it's too late, have been told that you have to spend down, have been told that it's nothing to do until you get down there. That is not true. I just told you that under Pennsylvania rules, we can still protect 100% for a spouse, at least 50% for a single individual. What's it going to cost you? Nothing, not a penny. Get a consultation, learn what can happen, learn what it means. We do nothing but elder law. That is what we focus on. I am a certified elder law attorney. We do this day in and day out. We do it all the time. We have team members within our practice that only do Medicaid applications on a daily basis. We have team members that only meet on a daily basis with people in crisis, determining what can be done. Please, it won't cost you a penny. Schedule your free consultation. Learn what can be done for the facts and circumstances of your case. It won't cost you a thing, and we would be honored to be able to hold your hand through this process and educate you so that what happened to my family doesn't happen to yours. We wish you nothing but the best, and we look forward to seeing you in and around the office. And once you work with our firm, remember the included benefits. You are a member of the Red Wagon Club. A member of the Red Wagon Club provides access to me as the attorney on a weekly basis on Thursdays at 2 o'clock for what is called a Your Legal Hour. And on Tuesday evenings, the Life Care Planning social workers host the Life Care Planning Hour so that they can answer questions for your loved ones regarding care in the home, transition to the facilities, many things that you will be dealing with as a person who is working with our firm in crisis. Those are all added benefits of working with our firm as part of the Red Wagon Club. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you for being here. Thank you for giving us your time. And we look forward to holding your hand through this process and telling you exactly what can be done and what the cost will be. We'll see you in and around the office. Thank you.